Sri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Hello students, welcome to today's online class. In today's class, I am going to discuss about the soil types of India. So in different places in our country occupied by different soil types, how these soils are helpful to our nation's economic development, we will see in today's class. In previous classes, we discussed about different types of natural resources. Those are classified into different types of renewable, non-renewable, biotic, individual, national, and international resources. In today now, I'm going to discuss about soil as a resource. How this soil is useful to entire nation's people. How it helps to the nation's economic development. So these are the main top layers of the soil present what we have. So the topmost upper layer, that is what we call as topsoil, and the second soil semi layer, that is the subsoil. Weathered rocks, sand and silt clay composed this subsoil, and then third layer substratum. These are weathered parent rock material. This is the parent rock. So the type of the soil based on the this parent rock, and even minerals included in the soil based on this parent rock only, children. And then the next fourth one is unweathered parent bedrock. So there is no weather composition here. This is what we call as parent bedrock. So the when the metamorphic rock stage here, what we call as unweathered parent rock. The uppermost layer of the earth's crust, which is loose, broken and useful for plants, is called as soil. What is meant by soil? The topmost layer of the earth's crust, which is loose and broken and useful for the plants, is called as soil. This soil consisting of mineral matter such as sand, clay, and organic matter such as humidity, bacteria, and earthworms. So these bacteria and earthworms strengthen the soil type due to the different natural activities. And this soil is formed mainly due to the process of weathering. So what is the process of weathering? As a result of weathering, a layer of loose rock materials is formed on the land surface. So due to the wind pressure and due to the water flowing, so these what we call as the weathering. So because of this weathering, our top layer formed into the small pieces and they deposited on the land surface. So in this layer remains undistributed for a long period of time with chemical, physical and organic changes take place in it. These changes lead to the formation of the soil. So how the soil forms. So the top layer of the soil, due to the weather compositions, due to the weather and climatical changes for a long period of time, and by depositing with chemical and physical and organic changes, it form as a soil. What are the major weather conditions that influence the soil formation process? The first one is climate. So climate of the place decides the rate of weathering and the type of vegetation. For example, the frigid zone climatical conditions, there is no scope of huge plantation because of the lack of sun rays. Their weathering also played a vital role, and the topsoil also based on the climatical conditions only. So in this frigid zone, so almost all snow deposited on the soil and it is not suitable for cultivation in that way. And then topography. So topography of the land decides the accumulation of the soil. So terrain of the place. So as you know that plains have the different types of the soil formation, mountains have the different types of the soil formation. In this way, topography also played a vital role in the formation of the soil. And then next one is nature of parent rock. So what is the parent rock belongs to, and the texture and the composition, hardness of the rock that influence the soil type also. As you know that some soils are red soils, black soils, and alluvial soils different are there, but those all depends upon the nature of the parent rock. Maybe it is a igneous rock or metamorphic rock, or it may be a sedimentary rock. Based on the parent rock, the soil type will be depends. Next one is vegetation. So vegetation decides the amount of humus available in the soil. So based on, if you see the arid zones, means high temperature areas, the crop cultivation is not suitable in those areas. Understood? So because of the humus available in the soil, and it gives uh, water resources for a long period of time. So based on that, vegetation of the place also influence, because of the vegetation and nature of the parent rock and topography and the climate of the place, that influence the formation of the soil process. What are the major types of soils that we have? Majorly, in our country, we have 6 types of soil types. What are they? The first one is alluvial soil, is red soil, black soil, laterite soil, desert soil, and mountain soil. These are the major soil types that we have present in our country. So different soils have the different chemical compositions and different purposes, and they are giving different types of crops also. For example, to cultivate rice, what we need? We need very fertile soil. Which soil has the fertility? Alluvial soil. And after that, cotton types. Cotton type need a high temperature, so that we are using black soil. So different types of soils, they are useful for different types of crops now. First one is alluvial soil, children. So this alluvial soil is very fertile and widespread soil found in India. So in northern plains, and in Gujarat plains and east coastal plains, stretch with this alluvial soil. So that is the main reason our plains are cultivating more and more crops, especially paddy. It consists of sand, silt, and clay. So three mixture combination is alluvial soil. What is the first one? Sand. Second one, silt. And third one, it is clay. And it is divided into Khadar and Bhangar. That is what Khadar means new alluvium, and Bhangar means old alluvium soil. So means alluvial soil also classified into 2 types. What are they? Khadar and Bhangar. And it contains soil nutrients such as potassium and phosphoric acid and lime also, so that it is very fertile and good for the growth of the sugar cane, rice, wheat, and pulses. So most probably these alluvial soils are available in our country in northern plains and Gujarat plains. Northern plains included Punjab plains, Brahmaputra plains, and Gangetic plains, and also our east coastal plains and west coastal plains of our country is occupied with alluvial soil, so that these regions are cultivating more and more crops. Now about Bangar soil and Khadar soil. Bangar soil has higher concentration of conker nodules than the Khadar. It has more fine particles and is more fertile than the Bangar. So which is the best soil? Khadar. And alluvial soil as a whole are very fertile with a combination of Bangar and Khadar. Mostly these soils contain adequate proportion of the potash and phosphoric acid and lime, which are ideal for the growth of sugarcane and paddy, wheat, and other cereal and pulse crops. Due to the high fertility of the soil, many regions of these alluvial soils are intensively cultivated and densely populated. So if you observe the population of Uttar Pradesh, population of Punjab, and population of West Bengal and Bihar, so what is the main reason for high? If you observe in our nation, so what is the highest populated state? Uttar Pradesh. Highest dense populated state, West Bengal. Both are located in northern plains. If you observe our east coastal plains, west coastal plains, many of the people they settled on the coastal lines or the plains because of the fertility of the soil, and these soils are very helpful for the agriculture, and these soils provide on the banks of the rivers especially, so the water facilities also made the people to settle in near coastal areas and plains. What is the difference between Khadar and Bhangar? See here, Bhangar is the largest part of the northern plain and is composed of the oldest alluvial soil, whereas these Khadar floodplains formed by younger alluvium are called as Khadar. So in one word we can say that newly formed Khadar soil is very suitable for agriculture than the Bhangar, and they lie above the floodplains. They resemble terraces. Here the soil in this region is renewed every year and is highly fertile. So these floodplains due to the river Ganga and Yamuna and their tributaries in these regions causes to highly fertile soil formation, what we called as Khadar. Alluvial soil divides into two types, Bhangar and Khadar. Both are fertile together, but Khadar is more fertile than the Bhangar. Understood. And this soil, the soil of this region is locally known as Kankar and is composed of calcareous deposits. Because in this Bangar soil, small Kankar madules are included, so that it is called as Bhangar. And whereas in Khadar, it is very suitable for intensive agricultural activities and it is very clayey and very fertile soil, which is very suitable for cultivation of the crops like paddy, sugarcane, wheat, and etc. Next one about black soil. Black soil, also known as the rigor soil. Rigor means cotton. Rigor means cotton. So, because this black soil is very suitable for cotton cultivation, it is most of our Deccan plateau occupied with black soil. So black soil Maharashtra and the central highlands Madhya Pradesh and western parts of the Telangana region occupied with this black soil, and it is very suitable for cotton because cotton need a high temperature and holding capacity of water, so that qualities are there with this black soil. And soil is sticky when wet and shrink when dried. So when it is wet, it is sticky, and when dried, it is shrinks all the water. And self-ploughing is a characteristic of the black soil as it develops wide cracks when dried. Self-ploughing. So it ploughing means uh, soil is suitable for ploughing, and it will done automatically by itself, what we call as self ploughing. So here, because of the water dried in the soil, it causes to the cracks, and automatically that soil is suitable for ploughing, easy ploughing possible in this black soil. And then this soil is very rich in iron, lime, calcium, potassium, aluminum and magnesium. See how many minerals are included in this. But these are deficient in nitrogen, phosphorus and organic matter. These are rich in minerals but deficient in phosphorus and organic matter. So that only few crops are available like cotton, maize are suitable for this type of soil. And what is the color of this soil is deep black to light black color, and it is mainly found in the Deccan Trap, as I said, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh and western uh, Telangana regions occupied with this region. This is about the black soil. Next about the red soil. So if you observe picture here children, this forest and mountainous areas, Jammu and Kashmir, as you know that mountain soil, and Sikkim here in our country, and here in Arunachal Pradesh, this layer is occupied with forest and mountainous soil. And here this is alluvial soil. So if you observe here, entire uh, northern plains occupied with this alluvial soil, and here coastal Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu regions, and here some of the places are occupied with alluvial soil only. After that, red and yellow soil. So entire these regions are occupied with red soil, and this is black soil. If you observe here, the Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, and here it is Maharashtra and some parts of the Karnataka, and here western Telangana region occupied with this type of soil. And this is laterite soil here. Here Goa region and some of the parts of Karnataka and Maharashtra occupied with laterite soil, and here arid zone. This is the Thar desert. So this desert entire desert dried soil, so that it is what we call as arid soil. So this is the texture of the red soil, red in color. Red soil observed mainly in low rainfall area. So this soil texture type is porous and friable structure, and absence of lime and conker means impure calcium carbonate, and deficiency in lime, phosphate, manganese, nitrogen, humus and potash. This is in red in color with the iron in crystalline and metamorphic rocks combination. So the lower layer is reddish yellow or yellow. So the structure of the texture of the soil is sandy to clay and gloomy soil. So this soil is very suitable for wheat, cotton, pulses, tobacco, oil seeds and potato etc. are cultivated in this, not our regular crops. And it is found in especially in Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, some places in Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand places occupied with this red soil. Next one, laterite soil, children. This laterite word derived from a Latin word later. Later means brick. So these laterite soils are very useful for brick making and become so soft when wet and very hard when dried. So found in the areas of high temperature and also high rainfall. So this is the dual composition of high temperature and high rainfall. So this is found as a result of high leaching due to the rainfall. Organic matters of the soil will be removed fast by the bacteria as it is high temperature, and humus will be taken quickly by trees and other plants. Thus humus content is very low here. Understood? In this type of laterite soil, humidity levels, humus is very low, and so that these are not suitable for regular crops. So these are very rich in iron and aluminum. This soil also red in color due to the iron oxide composition or the texture included in the soil mixture. Mainly rice, ragi, sugarcane and cashew nuts are cultivated, and it is good for the cultivation of tea, coffee and cashew nuts also. These are found especially in Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, Orissa and Assam. So this is about the laterite soil. Even in our Andhra Pradesh also some in a few places occupied with this laterite soil. Next one, arid soil. So arid soil means dried soil. In one word we can say sandy soil. This type of soil texture, especially we seen under the high temperature, means arid and semi-arid conditions. So these are mainly deposited by wind activities. High salt content available, salinity and lack of moisture and humus. So these are made up of conker or impure calcium carbonate content is high, which restrict the infiltration of water, so that the structure is very sandy. It is most probably red or brown in color. These are found in western Rajasthan, that is our Thar desert. Next one, forest soil. In the name only we have that forest soils. So these soils are formed in the forest areas where sufficient rainfall available. Jammu and Kashmir area, Sikkim and some parts of the Arunachal Pradesh are filled with this type of forest soils. And these soils vary in structure and texture depending on the mountain environment where they are formed. They are loomy on salty on valley sides and coarse grained in the upper slopes. So in the upper slopes it is very loomy, and in valleys it is very silky. So because of that, there is no regular crops available to cultivate in these areas, especially in the snowbound areas of the Himalayas. They experience denudation and are acidic with low humus content, so that these soils found in the lower valleys are fertile, whereas in the upper areas these are not fertile. Only the forest soils available in those areas suitable for forest. Soil erosion. So if you observe, this is the soil erosion. What are the main causes to soil erosion? Removal of the topsoil from one place to another place by natural agencies is called soil erosion. So most probably it causes by running water and the wind flowing. So because of this one, water and wind, the top layer of the soil moved from one place to another place. That is what we call as a soil erosion. And here deforestation and overgrazing, also unscientific agricultural practices are responsible for large scale soil erosion. So overgrazing the animals and deforestation also causes to soil erosion. So this soil erosion mainly two types ma. One is gully erosion and the one sheet erosion. What is meant by gully erosion and sheet erosion, we will see. What is meant by gully erosion? So the rainwater when moves down on an uneven landscapes away the soil and form deep channels called gullies. This type of erosion is called gully erosion. In next slide, I will show the what is meant by gully erosion. So because of the rainwater flow, so top layer of the soil will deposited and form deep channels like a way. So that is what we call as gullies. Because of that erosion, we call as gully erosion. And a land which is broken into many small parts by this gullies is called bad land, and a bad land is unfit for cultivation and for other economic activities. So this is about gully erosion. You just observe the picture here. This is the soil gullies, so which formed due to the flow of water and sometimes with wind also, but not in this depth. These are what we call as a gully. So this soil is not suitable for cultivation due to the nature of the moving. So that this is what we call as a bad soil. One is gully erosion, another one is sheet erosion. What is meant by sheet erosion in this way? So sometimes water flows as a sheet over large areas down to slope. The water takes away the topsoil. So this is the topsoil erosion is called sheet erosion in this way. So it is formed as a narrow channel, that is gullies, and here this is sheet erosion. The almost sheet based on the sheet, the topsoil erode. So we observe about the gully erosion and soil erosion. Then how to conserve our soil. So what are the major soil conservation methods? The first one is counter ploughing. So ploughing along the contour lines can declarate the flow of water down the slope. So if you observe these type of contour ploughing, if you are cultivating the crops in this way, and it reduces the topsoil erosion. This is one method. And there one is terrace farming. Second method, terrace farming in soil conservation. So if we are cultivating the crops in this way, top on this terrace in the steps wise if we cultivated, so whenever the water flowing, almost all the water absorbs every stage of plantation here. So every step, if the water flows down, again here some water will be absorbed by this plantation. Again coming to the down, so this is what we called as a terrace farming. Because of this terrace farming, we can restrict the soil erosion. Third method, strip cropping. So it is like a strips. So we have to cultivate some place and leaving some place. After that again cultivating. So in these strips, what we have to do? Grass. And between the grass, what we have to do? Cultivate the crops. This breaks up the force of the wind. So to reduce the wind erosion, this method is called as strip cropping. So it is like a strips. So if you place cultivated, after that leaving some space to grazing, and next slat again it will be cultivating. So this type of farming we call as strip cropping. Next one, shelter belt. So if you are cultivating the crops like lines of trees, what we call as shelter belt. So most probably eucalyptus trees they are cultivating, in teak trees, and they are cultivating in this method. And this one also is reducing the soil erosion. And in our state of India's environment, the village of Shukomazri and the district of Jabua have shown that it is possible to reverse land degradation. How? Tree density in Sukhumazri increased from 13 per hectare in 1976 to 1272 per hectare in 1992. Means in 1 hectare they are cultivating only 13 trees per 1 hectare. But whereas in 1992 it increases to 1272. Because regeneration of the environment leads to economic well-being as a result of greater resource availability, improved agriculture and animal care, and consequently increase the incomes. So they are taking care about the regeneration of the environment, and it is very helpful to them to gain more economic development. Because average annual household income of Sukhumazri ranged earlier 10,000 to 15,000 between 1979 and 1984 in between. But now the people's management is essential for ecological restoration. Now with people being made the decision makers by the Madhya Pradesh government, 2.9 million hectares or about 1% of India's land area are being greened across the state through the watershed management. By using watershed management program, so their income also increased from 10,000 to 15,000 from 79 to 84, because the whatever the methods followed by them to protect the environment. Children, here one cartoon from your textbook. Children, contractors are how they are during acts, because government of India projects they are fighting each other to gain or to get the contract from the government. Because once they get the contract, automatically they are working for the individual development. If you see here, go still confused. Here one contractor is cutting the, like here almost all it is down, and they are going to another place. Here one more is collected by one more contractor. So because of the individual resource contractors, what happened, the future of our generation and the resources levels almost all in the doubt, in a question mark now. So what we have, the government have to take care the proper steps to avoid this individual development, as well as it is our responsibility of the citizens also to protect our environment by following different methods. So this is about our natural resources and development, how the natural resources are very helpful to the people for their individual development as well as to the nation's economic development. Children, I hope every one of you understood. After the lesson, write your running notes and send to me. If you have any doubts particularly, call me and ask me. I will clarify your doubts, children. Hari Om. Thank you.